All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. In case you couldn't tell, Brittany is actually on assignment today, so she's not going to be available here for this session. Instead, you have me. I'm Tony Frazee, part of the long-term care team, so happy to be with everybody here today. And again, welcome to another session, Long-Term Care Sales Bites with Lincoln Financial. Today, I am pleased to announce we actually have Josh Ford with us today, as Larry unexpectedly had been in a different, I guess, had a conflict of scheduling anyway that came up. So Josh is going to be taking everything over for us here today. Just a reminder, we welcome any and all questions, so feel free to type them into the chat box as we go. We'll get your answers before the end of today's presentation. But other than that, I just want to say welcome, everybody. And with that, Josh, I'd like to turn that over to you, sir.
Hey, awesome. I appreciate the introduction there, Tony. Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, good. I appreciate the time here today. I did just want to take just a few minutes, as part of this, Bits and Bytes sort of series, just to discuss a different way of thinking about long-term care, looking at it from a new lens with a new perspective. And over the next 10 minutes or so, I do just want to expand our horizons when it comes to thinking about long-term care planning and the clients that we look at when we do address the long-term care conversation. So what I want to do is have everyone, kind of close your eyes. We're not there in person, but, when you visualize long-term care, what do you see? What sort of client comes to mind? What sort of demographic? What sort of income bracket? All those things that go into it. What do you see when you think of long-term care? Without necessarily putting words in your mouth, typically when we think about long-term care, we do envision the older, elderly person in a nursing home. But what we've come to see over the last few years is that that is not necessarily the case. Those old ideas of an 80-year-old person in a nursing home is no longer what long-term care really is. When we think about long-term care, it is not solely an issue with aging. It is an issue that comes out of chronic disability, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Nowhere in any sort of tax-qualified long-term care plan or with the IRS is long-term care limited to someone's age. It is all having to do with their physical situation, and it all has to do with the need of 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. Whether it's bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, eating, or continence, that is it. That is what we define as long-term care. Or it's the need of supervision due to a cognitive impairment like Alzheimer's or dementia. So nothing in there do we speak about someone's age. It is all about your physical state at the time. And just to put you in a proper mindset, when we think about this, here are 4 very popular examples of long-term care that is completely different than what we may think of. Let's think of Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 29 years old, and he's currently 58. But Parkinson's at a young age like that, he is an individual where long-term care conversations does come into play. Or let's think about Christopher Reeves, Superman. He had a spinal cord injury, unfortunately, when he was 45, when he was suddenly thrown off that horse. He died about 7 years later at the age of 52. Pat Summitt, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Patricia Summitt, but she is, or formerly was, head basketball coach at Tennessee, one of the most prolific collegiate basketball coaches we've ever seen. And she was actually diagnosed with frontotemporal Alzheimer's at age 59, passed away at age 64. And then a more recent, figure that everyone may be familiar with is Selma Blair. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and became symptomatic at the age of 25. And she's currently 47. But as we think about long-term care and the need to plan early, all of these individuals are, maybe outside of what we would think of as long-term care conversation candidates. But as you can see, life is unpredictable, and in the blink of an eye, these very healthy young individuals, were in the need of a long-term care plan. One very interesting stat that we do see is that 40% of nursing home residents are under the age of 65. So that should put us in the mindset that it is no longer a conversation just for the elderly. It is for those who, may have issues like those who we discussed here, or even a young client who has an issue like a broken leg, who may have, a long recovery ahead of them. Those are candidates for LTC as well. One way for us to enter the conversation with this younger market, now that we do see that those clients are eligible for the conversation, is going to be making long-term care more affordable to them. As we discussed, the young professional demographic, it is a much different conversation than we'd be thinking of with the older demographic. One of the best ways for us to go ahead and look at having the conversation with them is making the long-term care strategies affordable to them. The easiest way for us to do that is with a flexible premium product. Many options in the market do have more premium financing options than a single pay. So when you discuss this conversation, looking at those flexible premiums is definitely a way to have the conversation. What I want to show to you today is 2 quick sales ideas that you can implement very quickly that will allow you to have the long-term care conversation with more clients. What I have up in front of me here is going to be a material that we call the Long-Term Care Planning Compass. It is something that we like to show a lot because what it does do is give you the ability to have conversations with folks. What I want to discuss first is a strategy called the 50-10 Hedge Strategy. And then what I'll discuss second is a front-loaded flex pay, both of which are options with flexible premiums. So if that's coming through clear, our 50-10 hedge strategy is a strategy in which we can implement with the long-term care conversation. And essentially, if you are looking at this long-term care planning compass for yourself, anytime you click one of those hot links, it will populate a graphic like what you see here. It does give you a quick explanation of how this really works. What is the meat and bones of this sales strategy? Are you looking for a way to begin the long-term care conversation without giving your client sticker shock, as we like to do with the young professionals? You can hedge against long-term care risk by solving for a benefit that is 50% of your local private nursing home costs. And typically that's going to cover all of home health care and the vast majority, if not all, of assisted living facility costs. In addition, you can stretch those premiums for over 10 years. So we have the ability, again, to solve for a good amount of the cost of care. And by spreading those premiums by over a number of years, you do have the ability to reduce sticker shock and allow the clients who may be a little bit younger to have access to that. And with many long-term care strategies, they even have a monthly pay option. So you can really incorporate into that conversation. This is a monthly investment, much like they're making into their 401k or any of those college saving plans that they may have for their children. Their long-term care strategy can fall in line and be funded under the same sort of principles. The second option, moving back to our long-term care planning compass that I did want to share with you today, is the front-loaded flex pay. The front-loaded flex pay, again, if you click it, it will give you a quick how-to on the idea. But essentially what this allows us to do is if you do have a client who has a lump sum of money, whether it comes from an annual bonus at work, an inheritance, the sale of a business, maybe a divorce or a marriage, anything like that, we may have a lump sum of cash up front, and you can implement that to start a contract off, and then you can add in subsequent contributions so that you can bolster their benefit and allow them to access a higher benefit, over a long period of time. And just to provide one quick example using MoneyGuard as the focus, in a scenario as what I'm going to show you here, in this scenario, 60-year-old client, $55,000 came in year one, let's assume from a sale of a business. And then what we can do is structure the subsequent premiums, $5,000 per year for 10 years to really bolster that client's long-term care benefit in that budget. So in summary, long-term care is no longer a discussion just reserved for those clients in their 70s who may be approaching a long-term care event. The earlier we can have the conversation with a client, the better. And long-term care is not just someone in a nursing home. It is an event that impacts your activities of daily living, and that can occur anywhere in your lifetime, whether you're 30, 40, 70, or 80, long-term care risks are always evident and they're always on the radar. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Tony, but I do appreciate the time and am open for questions.
Well, again, thank you, Josh. Here, let me just check, see if anybody's having any questions here as of yet. Please feel free to put those in the chat for us. Give it just a little bit, maybe kind of have a little bit of a quiet group here today. I know it's a Friday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing I'll just kind of note as we do potentially gather questions is that this long-term care conversation, just in general, not using MoneyGuard as a specific, solution, is something that's ever more pressing and evident, especially now in the uncertain times that we're in. Younger clients who can secure long-term care through a guaranteed product like any of those hybrids that I know you deal with, they've been a lot more apt to have the conversation just because it's a sense of security and, uncertain times. So, now is definitely a good opportunity for you to have that long-term care conversation with clients.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, right now it looks like I don't see any questions at this point in time. Apparently that must be about all we have. I'm going to say, well, if nothing else, I want to thank everybody once again for joining us here today. And also, again, Josh, for filling in for Larry, who was not able to be here today. So very good working with you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again. But reminder for everybody out there, for any long-term care needs, please contact either Brittany or myself here. Happy to help anytime. Other than that, again, Josh and everybody, you guys all have a great day and have a great weekend.
All right, thank you. You too. Take care, everyone.